Air Shuttle 5611, contact departure, have a good flight.
Departure 5611.
Southwest 481, Phoenix Tower, 25 right, line up and wait. On the way ahead.
Okay, we're nearing our top of descent already. In case anybody's wondering, we did actually have some icing issues. So you'll look down here, you'll see that I've got the windshield anti-ice on and the prop anti-ice on, and then I used the surface de-icing switch to remove the ice from the wings. So we probably won't have any more icing issues. The way that this surface de-ice works, it's a boot that inflates and it breaks up the ice and then it blows off the wing. So it's not still on. So there is the possibility we'll collect some more ice as we continue on here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But let's go ahead and do our before descent checklist here. We want to make sure that our cabin pressurization controller is set, and we set it to the landing field pressure altitude plus 500 feet. In case you're wondering how that works, you take the altimeter at the landing field, which is 298.4 for Phoenix, and you subtract that from standard pressure, which is 299.2, and you take that number, multiply by 1,000, and then you either add or subtract that from the landing field altitude. So in our case, 299.2 minus 299.4 is 0.08 times 1,000 is 80, and because it's less than normal pressure, you actually add that to the field altitude. So normally it's 1,134 feet, if I remember correctly, which would make it 1,214 feet. That's what we want to set this to, plus 500. So we're going to rotate this until now remember, we're setting the cabin altitude, which is the outside one, to 1,200 feet. These are 1,000-foot increments, so 1,200 plus 500, so basically it's 1,700, so it's going to be right about there, and we are good to go. Make sure this knob is in the 12 o'clock position, and we're good to go. Altimeter will be set when we cross below 18,000 feet. Cabin signs as required. Anti-ice is on at this point, and we will keep it on until we are out of icing conditions, and then power as required to give the desired rate of descent. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to slow down a little bit here by pulling that torque back. We're going to leave our RPMs where they're at. We're going to pull that torque back. I'm going to slow that speed down a little bit, and then I'm going to use the flight level change mode, FLC, to bring us down to 7,000 feet to start with. That's where we're going to start. So let's scroll this wheel down to 7,000 feet. Come on down. We're ready to start descending now too, so we're good there. Speed's already coming back a little bit, and 210 is good for me, so we'll click the flight level change at this point. Sorry about that. And you'll see that what the aircraft is going to do now is it's going to descend at a rate, whatever rate it needs to maintain that speed of 210 knots, okay? And we could always bring that speed back a little bit more as well if we wanted to. But basically, that's how the flight level change mode works. I believe that's what it's called, flight level change mode. If I'm incorrect about that, please let me know down in the comments. However, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and continue our descent, and when we get, let's see, we're going to be taking runway 26, no, we're taking 25 right from Zerlo, so probably around or just past Zerlo, I'll be hopping back on here with you, and you will join me for the approach and landing. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Alright, as you can see, we're turning on our final approach fix here. We're about to start our next phase of the descent. We need to go down to 4,000 feet, so I'm going to go ahead and crank this on down. And there we go, 4,000 feet. We'll still do the flight level change here. And we just back those throttles off a little bit, and down she'll go. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to back them off quite a bit. I've already brought in my first flap setting, which is my approach flaps. We don't want to get too slow here, obviously. We don't want to descend wicked fast. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of let the autopilot do its thing here for a couple minutes. We're going to take care of our approach checklist, and then we're going to fly this airplane in ourselves. So first thing we want to do is check our cabin pressurization, which we've already done. It's good to go. We've set everything. Cabin signs are on. Auto feather switch needs to be armed at this point. Go ahead and arm that. Flaps are already set to approach. Landing gear will come down when we're a little bit closer. I'm not quite ready to bring it in yet. Landing and taxi lights are on. You can see right there. And prop sync needs to come off at this point. And then once landing is assured, flaps will go to full and yaw damper will come off unless, now we learned this the hard way, if we click off the yaw damper with the autopilot on, what happens? It shuts off the autopilot, right? So if we're going to be letting the autopilot fly the ILS, then we would leave that yaw damper on. Propeller levers, I said it kind of right that time. Prop levers will need to be full forward, and then we'll be good to go. That'll be it for landing, so we'll take it on in from there. So we'll go ahead and just let her keep on coming down here. We're looking to hit 4,000 feet by the time we get at Zamex, which is still a couple of waypoints ahead of us here. So we'll just go ahead and continue to fly this on in. And what I think I'm going to do is, just for the sake of shortening the video a little bit, I'll do a short pause here, let it fly in until we're on short file, and then we'll hop back on here and you guys can do the landing with me. Alright, I steepened our descent just a little bit to make sure we hit the points we want to, and I didn't want to deprive you guys of the awesome sound as that prop lever goes full forward. So let's go ahead and do that now. Oh yeah, I love the sound of those props coming in like that. It's just a beautiful sound to it. And we've gone ahead and changed our altitude setting to 3,000. That's where we want to be at Uxcoon, U-X-C-U-N, Uxcoon, I guess that's how you say it. But we won't be flying on the autopilot much longer here. We're about ready to take control of this aircraft and go ahead and fly it in because, hey, that's what we're here to do, is fly, right? Let's go ahead and bring that landing gear down now. We're well within the range to do so. So gear is coming down. That's going to slow our aircraft a little bit, so we're going to bring in a little bit of throttle so we don't dive too fast. And I'm just going over here to take a look. Gear is down. We have our green. Looking pretty good here. We're probably a little low. That's our 2,500 foot call there. And I think what we're going to do at this point, let's go ahead and bring in, you know what, before we do that, let's go ahead and turn this autopilot off. Remember, I want to jiggle my yoke a little bit before we do that because, yeah, that can get ugly otherwise. So let's go ahead and turn autopilot off. Yaw damper can come off at this point. Flight director and nav can come off. And we are now flying the aircraft ourselves. With that being said, we can go ahead and bring in full flaps now. And that brings that nose up a little bit and starts killing that speed really fast. And that's alright. We want it to kill the speed, but we want to keep an eye on it. So we've got to slow that rate of speed killing, or whatever you want to call it, down. And yep, she's still trying to climb a little. That's okay. We're looking good right now. I wanted it to come up a little bit anyway. And it says our engines are over torquing. We can go ahead and back that off a little bit. Looking good here. In fact, we can back those throttles down quite a bit now. We definitely want to slow down. I want to land no more than probably 100 knots. Let's go ahead and back those throttles off. Let her nose herself over because we're definitely high right now. We need to get down. I'm always high, not high like smoking crack or something. Just every time even in the real world, when I'm landing an airplane, I'm always coming in a little high. Not sure why that is. I think I'm just scared of the ground. Something I thought of that I'm going to try and do here pretty soon, because you can see the water here and then it stops and turns into the proper scenery. I think I've told you in the past, this is pretty much a dry riverbed here. So what I'm going to do, I think, is find some photoreal scenery for the area around Phoenix Sky Harbor, and hopefully that will alleviate that interesting little look between the default FSX scenery and the beautiful flight beam scenery we have. There's also a couple little quirks here. I don't know if you can see them out to the side there. Those are not airplanes, ladies and gentlemen. Those are houses. Yes, yes indeed, those are houses. I'm not sure what causes that. If you happen to be one of those who's smart enough to know what causes houses to be floating in the air, it's only sometimes, not all the time. They're not always like that. But if you know what's causing that, do me a favor, throw something down in the comments so that I can fix the issue. I haven't really dug around on the forums yet or anything, but I'm going to need to do that soon because that's kind of silly looking. So, especially if they were on our flight path here, that would be a real problem, wouldn't it? Still a little high. We're just going to push the nose down a little bit. You saw me do it there. Probably wouldn't push it quite so hard in the real world. That would scare our passengers. And we're looking pretty good. We're just a skosh fast, but I've already backed off the throttles. And when I start to pull the nose back up here to slow this rate of descent, we're going to bleed off quite a bit of speed. So pull it up just a little bit. Of course, There's a 737 taxiing onto the runway because we're not using air traffic control. Now the proper thing to do, obviously, is a go around. Should I do one? I don't know. Let's give him a second here. Let's see if he goes ahead. They usually don't take too long to pull out. Hopefully, if he starts his takeoff run right away, then we're just going to land in right behind him. He's not going to do it, is he? No, he's not. Oh my goodness. Alright, we're going around. Bring those throttles in. Don't want to over torque the engines. There's our speed coming up. Flaps can come to our first setting. Gear can come up at this point. And we're going to have to... The go-around procedure is actually straight out, which is a little strange considering he's taken off there. So we're going to sort of execute our own go-around procedure. I'm going to do a right turn here so that he doesn't take off and climb right into us, because that would be dangerous. There was nobody on the on runway 26, and I know our engines are over-torqued a little right now. I can pull that back just a little bit. Yeah, I know there's traffic. I saw him pull out in front of me there. That's why we're doing this. All right. Well, there we go. We got to go around this time. Oh, where'd he come from? Yeah. I don't know if that's embarrassing, scary, or just plain stupid. But, yeah. I kind of messed up a little bit there, guys. That's the problem with not using ATC when you do have traffic turned on is, yeah, that's going to happen sometimes, folks. I'm going to back those props off just a little bit, and that should hopefully bring the torque down as well. And I'm going to go ahead and go all the way back here and line up again and get ready to land the aircraft. So I'll see you guys when we're on final again. Okay, so as I'm speaking, we're starting our right turn towards Uxkun here. And we're going to go ahead and bring in the landing gear now, bleed off a little bit of speed. And we want to get down to 3,000 feet as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that as we make our turn here. Not sure what the master caution there is for. What are we getting? Oh, that's because my prop levers aren't all the way forward. I think I've told you guys about that before. So let's bring those full forward now. There's that sound again. We're going to have to go ahead and make a good tight turn here. And we're just turning base and then to final just like that. There's another aircraft on approach. I'm not doing another go around. Eventually I will get a good ATC program, but I'm going to need some word from you guys on that, because right now the ones that are available just aren't cutting it. So we're just going to have to deal with the fact there's another aircraft there. I won't do a go around this time. I know it's not the proper way to do it, but we need to land this airplane, don't we? So it looks like we're going to be a little high here. I'm not sure why it tells us to be at 3,000 here at Uxkun or whatever you call it, but it does. So that's all right though. Let the speed bleed off from those flaps coming in. That's what we want. And that'll nose us over a little bit as well. That's fine. Bring that power back a little bit. I know we're high. Don't worry, we're going to be just fine. Looks like the aircraft that was on approach behind us went ahead and did a go around, so we're good to go there. Just getting her to come down a little bit. For some reason now, just so you know, I was trying to be at 3,000 as I completed that turn because that's what the approach chart tells me I need to be at. But that's clearly way too high. So anyway, we'll be on a glide slope here shortly. We'll bring in just a little bit of throttle once we're there. We're closer to it than you think. I know we have all white, but you're going to see those lights change here shortly. And that just comes from, you know, just a little experience. So I'm bringing throttle in already because I know there's a delay in it. Here it's starting to come in now. Still waiting for those lights to change. It's okay, we got a lot of runway to work with here. And we're still too high. Well, we should have made it to glide slope already. We're close to it. Yeah, I guess we are a little high. That's all right. Back those throttles back off a little bit. And we're just going to float her on in here. Try not to use the entire runway. Since we're already too high, it is what it is.
100.
We don't have to be perfect in the simulator.
50, 40, 30, 20, 20. 10, 10.
Floating a little more than I want to there. Come on, baby, sit down gentle for me. There we go. That wasn't too bad, minus 54 feet per minute. Trying to get that reverse prop to come in. Go ahead and use those brakes, because we're going to exit here. All right. Well, I suppose it wasn't the best landing. It wasn't really a proper go around. You know, it's just sort of the I don't know what else to call it. It's just the price you pay for not using air traffic control. So I should have hung a right here. Let's hang a right. Let's go this way here.
Traffic.
And I'm going to take us on over to parking, and then I will see you there for the shutdown checklist. So we'll be back here in just a minute. Alright, we're here on the ground, we're parked, we're ready to shut everything down. I forgot to turn off my landing lights when I came off the runway. We can turn off taxi lights now as well. So we're good to go there. Parking brake is set, avionics master comes off at this point, if I can find the switch there. Auto feather needs to come off as well. Light switches all need to be off except for that beacon switch. It's supposed to be on as long as there's power on the aircraft, so we'll leave that on. We'll leave it on when we're done shutting everything down as well. Cabin temp mode needs to go off at this point, so we'll hop down over here. Cabin, there it is. Cabin temp mode is now off. Vent blowers to auto. We're going to leave those right where they're at.
Traffic.
Radiant heat needs to be off. I don't know which one's the radiant heat. It's not electric heat. Maybe it's the furnace. Not really sure. Batteries charged. I checked that a minute ago just for your situational awareness. Okay, I probably sound like an idiot when I say that, but that's all right. Condition levers need to go to fuel cutoff at this point, and then immediately we need to feather the props. Props are now feathered. Check the voltage on the DC and load meters. Voltage is good. Plenty of voltage on both. Make sure all of these lights are off. I turn those on because they make it easier for you to see the panel there. I've noticed that as I looked at previous videos. So, and battery and generator switches need to come off next. I wish she'd stop saying traffic. Off, off. She will now. Oxygen supply control handle needs to be off. I'm still guessing that it's that one. I'm going to stick with it. And then as we get out of the aircraft, we'll install the wheel chocks, tie downs, and anything else that's necessary. So that's it. That's our shutdown checklist. We're good to go there. So now all we need to do is hop back over to ACARS really quick, take care of closing out our flight and getting credit for the hours, and then we'll hop over to the website and see where we stand. So I'll see you guys in just a minute. And big surprise, we're late once again. Apparently, I don't know how to be on time. I think it has to do with the recording. I spend a little extra time talking. When I'm just flying, I go pretty quick. So that's all right, though. It took us 1 hour and a few seconds for what was scheduled to be a 47-minute flight. We did have a go-around, so that definitely could be a big part of it right there. Nonetheless, everything's looking pretty good. Everything's been recorded. We can take a quick look. We don't have any warnings, so that's always a bonus there. Not all warnings constitute a rejected pilot report anyway. However, at this point, we can end our flight by clicking right there. Flight is now ended. You see the timer has stopped counting. One of the things you can do, and hopefully I won't get in trouble with the founders for saying this, but if you know you got like 2 extra minutes to go before that next rank, you know, you can just leave it parked here on the ramp, let it tick away those last couple of minutes. Now, you don't want to do it for like 15, 20 minutes or an hour or something like that. It's just ridiculous, okay? But if you got a couple extra minutes, you know, or let's say you had 1 extra minute, you could let it go those extra 5 seconds there, and then you'd have that minute you need, okay? So just something to keep in mind. And we will most likely do that on our last flight. We're going to make sure that that last flight takes us over that time so that we get promoted. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and file our pilot report. It has been filed. The ID number, if you want to know, is 138359. Check mark that. Everything's cleared out here. We're good to go. So let's hop on over to the website and let's see where we stand. All right, a quick look at our web page here, and we can see that our time has not changed. We're still at 15 hours, 58 minutes total time, which means we still have 4 hours and 2 minutes to go to make our next rank. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. Why is that? We finished the flight, we filed the report, everything should be good to go, right? And you're right, it should be. However, let's go ahead and hop in here and take a look real quick. Click on our pilot report, and you can see that it's still approval pending. Now, it could be because the flight was delayed. It's hard to say. There could be a lot of reasons. Sometimes pilot reports are randomly chosen to be approved by the, what's the word I'm looking for here? My brain doesn't want to work. The crew center manager, the hub manager, to ensure everything's good to go. So it could just be randomly pulled for that. Either way, until the approval is complete, we're not actually going to get the credit for these hours. Now, that being said, we know we didn't do anything wrong. Everything was good on the flight, so there's no reason it shouldn't be approved. So as long as we know it should be approved, we know it took us 1 hour and basically 0 minutes because we didn't do that extra 5 seconds, right? It took us an hour to do this flight, which means that once it is approved, if this thing wants to go back, every time I'm on here talking with you guys on the internet, this thing likes to go really slow. Waiting. There we go. Okay, so once it is approved, this will say 16 hours and 58 minutes, and this should say probably 3, I'm guessing. So we know that's where we're going to be. Now, that being said, it does say our current location is Phoenix, which means we can fly our next flight out of Phoenix. So we'll be good to go to kick that off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. It's been a fun flight. I enjoyed it very much. I always enjoy these. I love flying that airplane, but I am looking forward to what the future holds for us as far as larger and more advanced aircraft. I'm really looking forward to that. So I definitely want to bleed out these last few hours here, get these taken care of, and go ahead and jump on into something bigger, something faster. Nonetheless, was a good time. Like I said, we had to go around. It was the first time we've done that. We could have just flown over the top of them and landed. It would have been whatever, but we chose to do the go around. Good times. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this, please give us a thumbs up down below. Leave any questions or comments down in the comments section below. Please subscribe to my channel. I definitely appreciate everybody who subscribes and hangs in there and follows with me. I'm enjoying this series very much. You can also take a look and see that I've started a new series flying around the world in a Lockheed Constellation with the real TWA schedules from 1947, I believe it was. So that's pretty neat, and I'm going to continue to throw an occasional tutorial down there as well. However, I'm looking for some stuff from you guys. Tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what you'd like to see, and I will be more than happy to do everything I can to put it together. So until next time, I'm Captain Mac. Keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. Gentlemen, ladies, have a great day.
5611, contact departure. Have a good flight.
Departure 5611.
Southwest 41, Phoenix Tower, 25 right, line up and wait.
On the way to 25 right, Southwest 41.